I'm Frank Seppi with NPC News Online, backstage at the NPC Metropolitan Championships with legend bodybuilder Kai Greene.
Wow.
New York legend. You competed in the show, right?
Yes, I did. Many years ago. Many years ago.
How'd you do?
I, like you, actually. Yes. I actually followed your footsteps at this show. You were...
20 years ago I won this show.
Ain't that something?
When I was 6.
No, stop it. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, that was it. Well, I wasn't quite 20 years ago, but I did come in and compete in the show. I think at the time I did as well as I could, you know, and I was very excited.
I think you proved yourself over the years. I think you're all right. Is there a special feeling always coming in front of the New York crowd, you know, as opposed to some of the other places? I mean, you've been all around the whole world.
Wow. Well, Frank, like you know, there's something about being able to stand on stage at home, you know. Funny thing is, when you do a lot of traveling and you can do so much, you know, as a part of aiming to grow, and as you do grow, you can actually get out of touch with some of the things that were actually the foundation for your growth in the beginning. And one of the wonderful things about coming to a place like this is because you're able to see a lot of the faces, old and new, that have come out to support and still support, you know, the show like this. So it's almost an opportunity to meet up with old family, you know.
Exactly, family.
Bodybuilding, yeah. And,
you know, you're starting your prep now for the Olympia?
Very soon.
After the Easter candy and everything?
Well, you know, we you know, we had to take a little time off.
That's right.
But, you know, in the midst of all the traveling and stuff, it becomes, you know, a little bit difficult to manage. You know, shout out to the guys before me that were able to do this and make this look easy. You know, the Dexter Jacksons, the Jay Cutlers, you know, even the Phil Heaths. In truth, there's a whole nother experience behind the scenes that, you know, goes into, you know, being in demand and traveling and having a demanding schedule, and having to try to make time to manage it all. The guys that we've seen that just were great. They were great not just because of the physiques they brought to the stage, but also their ability to manage these irons in the fire, so to speak, behind the scenes.
I was always curious to know what bodybuilders you looked up to growing up. You know, I never heard you talk about the people that you looked up. I mean, you know, 80s, 90s, 70s, you know, anybody particular?
Oh man, in truth, there was a lot of them. So many. It's almost it's impossible to name. You know, I was a fan of the Corey Eversons, the Linda Murrays. I was a fan of the
mixed pair, Tony Pearson.
Yeah, absolutely. Diana Dennis.
Dating myself.
Well, you know what? You could still look back on YouTube and see all that. Bev Francis, believe it or not. And I say this not to be funny, but as a teenage bodybuilder, I actually had a cutout of a book called, I believe it was Mass. And in it, in the chest section, they had a photo of Bev Francis doing a most muscles, a black and white photo. I'll never forget. I was a teenager, and I used to make it my business to look at that photo every day before training chest, just because I was so inspired to imagine that if a woman was able to do that, and her chest was just amazing. Back then it was amazing, and even now it's still very, very impressive. You know, very, very impressive to look at. So long story short, I looked at that and I thought, wow, you know, if a woman can do that with everything else that she had working against her, when we talk about hormones and just, you know, a man being a woman and a woman, the biochemistry aspect of it, she was able to do it. I thought, well, why can't I then? You know, it was so encouraging to me, so empowering. And yeah, long story short, to answer your question, I celebrated every athlete that I thought represented what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, and who ultimately I wanted to become.
I was a big Lee Haney fan. I like Lee Haney. I remember the old Barry DeMay with the Miami Vice, and Tony Pearson.
Flying
with
Dutchman.
All that stuff. But you're right. You take a little bit of some, you know, a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person. And on the NPC News Online, you are a huge draw. You know, you have a lot of fans in the NPC, and they look up to you now. I mean, you've done very, very well over the years. You continue to do so. What are you going to do differently for this year for the O? I mean, what do you think you personally have to work on?
You know, honestly, I think that more importantly, you're going to need to be able to stay committed. continue to believe. And a lot of times it's a lot easier to say things like that, when you can appear to be so far removed from some of the realities that come along to challenge your faith, to challenge your commitment.
Sure.
So long story short, I bumped into some challenges, and I still can look forward. And with a lot of the aspirations that I have, I can also see a lot of the challenges that are on the way, and that are in some sense already here. But I think that if I'm able to focus, that's really what I think the champion athlete, the champion mindset is really all about: being in command of your focus and being able to think about the things that you want to think about, that you know are going to help propel you forward. When you do that, I believe that you're activating the champion mindset. And I think that more than anything else will be one of the bigger things that will be the reason for advancing should we do better this season.
How do you how do you self-motivate yourself? Like, you've done this for so many years. Does it ever get old to you? People are gonna look like, oh, how do how do you motivate yourself every day to go through the training? I've seen you train, and the diet and the prep. I mean, it's tough. The average person, even the elite can't do it. I mean, there's only a select few who have that kind of drive and determination. So how do you self-motivate yourself?
I think that's something that is within, and being able to remember that and to fix your thoughts on the things that continue to keep you in that place of renewed spirit, renewed energy, remembering what's important, so that even if your mind is allowed to get off track, even for a moment, the ability to refocus your thinking and put it back on the things that you know are going to help you advance towards your goal ultimately. I think that's something that comes from within. It's
Sure.
not something that someone gives you.
Champion's heart, champion spirit. Yeah.
And so why we always want to encourage a young person or a person that's looking to embark on new challenges, to tackle new goals, to be clear about what they want to do and to focus on that desired end result.
Sure.
So to answer your question, that's I believe that's what my job is right now. Even when the challenges and the objections that come with traveling and other demands on your time and concentration, to take that pill of swallow your own medicine and recognize again that is the champion mindset. That is when you are able to turn around and fix your thoughts on the things that you want to think about, that you know are going to help you advance towards your goal.
A lot of competitors will come up to me and they're like, well, I'm going to do this show and I'm going to do that show, amateur NPC, and, I just don't feel like training today. Well, what do you do when you don't want to train? Do you use positive visualization? Do you use some sort of meditation? Do you pump up your music? They just kind of like you said, not everyone has the champion's heart. Is ever a time when you walk into a gym and you said, I don't want to do this anymore? Does that ever register in your head?
Absolutely. And this is another reason why I believe it's so important to stress this point to the people that I do get a chance to talk to or have asked me a question just like that. Hey, how do you motivate yourself? Hey, you know what? Is there ever a time when you don't feel like? Absolutely. And believe it or not, the champions that excel in any sport or any discipline, they go through the same things. Life happens, even for the champion, not just the failure. The successful person deals with challenges. They deal with the objections. It's how we deal with them, how we handle them when they come up, that we are able to define who we are as who we want to be. So by aspiring to be the champion, by aspiring to aim to evoke the champion mindset, then that is, I believe, the attempt to turn around and say, you know what? I know what I'm capable of. And even if I question that, I know what I want. And I recognize that it's my responsibility to go after it. And whatever I need to do to make that happen, I am willing to do by any means necessary.
Now, you've had a long career and hopefully even longer. But if someone said, Ty, what was your legacy? What did you leave behind? What do you want to be known for? For this sport?
Oh, wow, that's a cool question. What do you want to be known for? Long story short, I recognize that I want to represent an idea, and that idea is always larger than myself. The idea being infinite possibilities. You know, the bumblebee is thought not to be able to know that in truth it's not supposed to be able to fly. There are people that will argue the laws of physics and aerodynamics and all these things, and they'll tell you that, as the sciences would suggest, the bumblebee is just too heavy. His body is too heavy for his wings to support it and for it to be able to commit itself to flight. But the bumblebee doesn't know that, and the bumblebee flies. It thinks and it does. You know, I would like to liken myself to something like that, an idea that represents limitless possibilities, rather than to believe the lie that I can't do and I shouldn't be able to, and you don't deserve that, and you're too ugly for that, or you just ain't good enough for that. No, I believe that achievement is the product of work and right thinking, and I believe that you can do that wherever you come from, from what or however humbling your beginnings, or however humbled your beginnings were. So, and however humbling your beginnings are. So if there is somebody out there that's hearing this and they, turn around and say, well, you know what, that's a message that I need to listen to, then I'm happy to be a part of that message. You know what I mean?
I got you, yeah. So let's switch gears. What's going on with Muscle Meds? They got any new products? Any secrets you want to give out to some of the guys out there?
Wow, that's what's up. Hey, put me on the spot, will you? I'll get a letter in the mail tomorrow. Kyle, you weren't supposed to say that. Listen, Muscle Meds has got some really cool things. They're cooking up some really cool things this year. We're hoping to be able to let them out the bag. I don't know if I'm the person to be able to do that at this particular point in time, but
you just don't want to tell us?
If you're excited to find out, stay tuned, be in good courage.
Go to the website?
Yeah, you can come to the Muscle Meds website, yeah.
So, what are you doing for Easter now? How does Kai Greene celebrate Easter?
Well, George Farah, my man Adam, and the family are going to go and sit down and eat a little bit and start planning. We're going to start planning. Yeah, we're going to start planning the attack.
Candy guy?
Well, we're going to send candy to our friends, to the FST7 crew and everybody out there that subscribes to that school. We're going to send that to them. We're going to put that in their Easter basket. Well, special delivery.
We want to thank you as always for being so gracious, and check out Kai guest posing today at the Mets. It was phenomenal.
We tried to do our best. Good. We tried. It was.
Always try to top each one. It was good.
Well,
always a perfectionist.
Right. Thank you for even wanting to check it out. Thanks for coming out and supporting us. The people that came out to the show today to support this show, my hat's off to you. We can't do this if it's not for you coming in and supporting as you have. The champions that got a chance to compete today, they're advancing and hopefully moving towards seeing their thing happen and their vision realized on the stage. So there's a lot of wonderful positive things happening.
Sure, absolutely.
And this is the place where those kinds of dreams are made. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
And, achieved for some people here.
Absolutely.
So, again, the legend.
That's funny.
Kai Greene.
If you get a chance, Google Frank Seppi. You hear this guy talking on camera. Sometimes people will see you on the camera now and think, oh, well, what's this guy do?
I know.
Even though he's doing modeling and fitness stuff, but
I know.
This dude has been a champion for a very, very long time. You got to Google him, check him out, see some of the old stuff.
Where are you going to be next? This way, your fans know where you're going to be at.
Oh, well, we'll be out at Bev's. We'll be at Bev's very soon after we get back from FIBO. Obviously, we got some things to do. We got FIBO in Budapest. So that's Germany. We got Budapest. We got England.
All over the world.
Well, we're fortunate.
It's global.
And we're excited to be global. We're excited to be global.
Ambassador? International ambassador of bodybuilding?
Well, you know what? There's nothing wrong with being an ambassador, but I think we all have an opportunity. You are an ambassador, believe it or not. And you are an example, and you actually work to encourage and inspire others. And that's what a platform like this is supposed to do. And that's what it does. The people that are tuning in, they may tune in because, hey, they just think that it's cool. But the truth is, there's something on the inside of them that responds well and recognizes that this is something that they want to pay attention to. And they're inspired to think about other possibilities going forward.
Absolutely.
So if you're inspired and you're looking at this stuff, be of good courage. The world is yours. Be willing to step into it.
All right, you heard it here. Thanks again. Frank Seppi for NPC News Online.